Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to I'm on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 326. And this week we're going to give you your fix of the podcast, first episode of 2026. We took last week off as we are trying to do some new things in the new year. We are actually going to have a bonus for Patreon.com video. We're doing a little video, testing some stuff out, so you guys will see it exclusively on Patreon as we trying to move towards that. We got some big stuff in the works.
Pardon the interruption. Aaron Bauer in the building. For some strange reason, I thought I just heard you say we was finna do video? Is that right?
Yeah, we finna do video. What's wrong with that?
How are we going to do that?
Well, with the help of Mega Wrestling and Bobby,
And
our new production man.
Ooh.
Production man.
Bobby, huh?
Production manager. Not to
Yeah.
be confused with me, the seduction manager.
Yeah. Or me, the
Come on, what do you got?
reduction manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reduce things.
Yeah.
So,
Should get a breast reduction.
breast.
Okay. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you excited about this move to video?
We'll see how it goes. You know, if we're up there and we're just doing a podcast and a fucking old-time indie wrestler from 20, 30 years gone by shows up and just happens to take my spot, then I might not be as happy. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, for the bonus video, unexpectedly, as we just tried to record a bonus video of testing things, talking about old stories, we had my first ever professional wrestling opponent, Michael Hellborn, sort of a controversial figure of sorts.
How so?
He showed up, and we started to talk about some of our history and his career, because
his name used to be Dusseldorf.
that was one of his names, yes. And coincidentally, Raw was in Dusseldorf this past Monday, which we will talk about in the bonus episode. But Hellborn was known as the Basket Nazi.
He was the basket case.
And then the Basket Nazi. So
Yeah.
a little controversial, but we sat down and talked with him this week because his son is training to become a wrestler. And so it was funny. We had brought up Michael Hellborn on New Year's Eve, me and Johnny Gargano, and he was making jokes and I was making jokes, and he says, you should tell Michael Hellborn you want one more match with him. I said, dude, I don't know when I would ever see Michael Hellborn again. And 12 days later, we're doing a podcast with Michael Hellborn. So that's
Well,
a real thing
you
that
spoke
happened.
it into existence, brother.
So that's over on Patreon, and we were talking about some other stuff in the build up to that. But it's just a nice little test run, nice little video bonus for you guys. And I feel like as the weeks progress, we're going to be covering a lot more ridiculous matches, promos, stuff from our personal careers. We're able to bust out the VCR and get some of Aaron's stuff that we felt was, for the most part, lost to time out into the internet for you to see. So it's going to be fun exploring this part of the podcast. And so I'm very excited. But I'm excited about today's episode as we explore and sort of talk about, as we've just had the crowning of a new WWE champion this past Friday, which we will talk about over on Patreon. Drew McIntyre, 3-time title holder. I figured, what if we talked about best and worst one-time WWE champions in various categories? I felt like that might be an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah, especially because Cody was a one-time champion.
He was not.
And the guy who beat him for it just now is a one-time champion.
No. So
how
how
does this connect with the other?
The connection is the WWE Championship.
Oh,
and there are some guys that maybe should not have become WWE champion. Maybe should have had it longer. Maybe
never should have had it.
Possibly.
Okay.
So this was
Let's
just something,
brother.
It's just something I was thinking about. Okay, and also as a sidebar, I did also look up one-time world heavyweight champions, the belt from 2002 to 2013. So I figured that might be a nice little interesting thing to talk about too. Just get some conversation going. A little bit different, something we usually would do for Patreon, but we're doing for the regular episode this week.
I like these ideas. Who's coming up with this stuff?
Me, for the most part.
Okay.
For the most part, yeah. Is that a problem?
I like it.
Okay.
I'm glad you're feeling better about doing the podcast.
I've never felt bad about doing the podcast. I don't know.
Literally last week, you were like, I'm not doing the podcast.
I was tired last week.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad that you're feeling different now.
We were exploring and discussing with
each other,
Brandon X and Mega about helping us with podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I believe on February 2nd, February 7th, Mega will have their very next show happening at the Field House.
No Love Lost.
Yeah, you already know the name. Wow,
yep.
Without any notes there.
It used to be St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Which was the same name of the CAPW event that happened in February.
And then before that, it was the February Fight.
Mm.
And then there was Winter Wrestling.
Okay, I see the theme.
May Mayhem.
Yep.
Which was weird because that was their February show.
But
now they're back on track.
Yeah. Well, Mega Wrestling got some big things popping, little things stopping. Of course, every Thursday you could check out what they're doing with their students, their crop of students over on the Thursday Night Turmoil over on their Facebook, Mega Wrestling. Look it up. And
the production is insane.
It's
right?
ridiculous.
What caught our eye? The production.
The production.
Yeah.
Good old Bobby.
Yeah, so the production's great. The wrestlers are coming into their own. I know you got a hard on for that Colt Johnson.
We've had our ups and downs, me and Colt.
Yeah, remember when I hit him in the head with something? What did I hit him in the head with?
I don't know, but you definitely did that in my match against him.
Yeah. So I feel bad about that now because it looks like he actually stayed around.
Yeah.
So, apologies to Colt Johnson.
It is what
Didn't mean
it is.
to stiff your brother.
Okay. Well, hey, let's take a commercial break, and then when we come back, we will talk about best and worst WWE champions in various categories. When we come back on Iron on Wrestling.
We were talking about one-time WWE champions.
Well, we're going to, yes.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about that. You said we're going to talk about it.
We are going to talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, I have my first one-time WWE champion that I'd like to present to you right here, right now, in front of all you people.
Seems like it's inappropriate time to do that during the commercials, but go ahead.
Mike from TNT Health, former WWE champion.
That's not true.
No? Oh, just a champion of our protein supplements and our glutamines and our macros.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like to get my creatine and my vanilla protein and my glutamine from TNT-health.com. It has a great supply of various pre-workout, post-workout supplements, everything in between, and also very affordable. And it helps that Mike, he will help you by holding your hand metaphorically speaking. I mean, I feel like in some ways he might be against holding hands with men. We don't have a problem with that, but I just feel like maybe Mike would, but metaphorically, he would hold your hand and help you with your macros and tracking your calories and it just hit your personal goals. I mean, you're not going to get that at GNC or Vitamin Shop or those types of places. Only at TNT-health.com and only at TNT-health.com will you save 10% with our promo code IRONON, IRONON. Use it, and you'll lose your lack of self-esteem because you'll be getting supplements from TNT-health.com because at TNT Health, I don't know if you know this, Aaron, but it's about your health today and not tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
What?
I thought it was about tomorrow.
No, why tomorrow? That's
fuck.
like...
Okay, I got to go back. I got to change some things.
Okay.
Let me get a hold of Mike right now. But while I'm doing that, I want to bring up another former
I think Mike's out getting a bag of ice or something.
I had a one-time WWE champion I wanted to talk to you about.
Other than Mike, who was not a former WWE champion?
Right.
Okay.
Well, this guy wasn't a former WWE champion, but he's a former one-time world heavyweight champion.
Oh, the other title. So the title between 2002 and 2013.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's that one. And that was, he's retired from the sport now, but he does designs, and his name is Juan of the Ortiz. Yes.
I'm not sure.
He prints shirts.
I don't know.
He draws clouds. He used to be the world heavyweight champion.
What
he had a classic match against Jeff Jarrett at No Way Out.
Okay, so you think that Juan Ortiz, and the creator of the Dead Designs, who makes T-shirt designs, you think that
same guy?
At some point between 2002 and 2013, that he wrestled Jeff Jarrett at a No Way Out and won the World Heavyweight Championship?
Defended it. He didn't win it, you idiot.
He would have had to beat someone.
Yeah, he did.
Unless he was awarded the title.
No. He beat someone, all right.
Who did he beat?
Triple H in the 7 Floors of Hell match.
Okay, you're lying. But, I mean, you probably could have Juan create this artwork of himself beating Triple H and then defending the title against Jeff Jarrett.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was his first title defense. The second title defense was against Nick and Matt, the Jackson brothers.
You know what?
The Generation Me. He faced them in a handicap match.
He made a T-shirt design for Matt and Nick. I know that.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's different than becoming world champion and then defending the title. But,
all right, that's my bad.
Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs can make any type of artwork for you, a friend, a loved one. It makes a great gift. Not some AI bullcrap. Like, listen, yeah, everybody likes to have some fun with AI, but when you're not paying actual artists for their time and effort and the creativity that exists within our own brains, it's just, you're missing out and not investing your time and money into something like Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs. If you're looking for unique artwork or perhaps a logo for your big or small business, you're missing out. So stop missing out. It's a new year. Do something creative for yourself. Reach out to Juan Ortiz and Of the Dead Designs. Commission a piece of art and save $20 on your first design when you mention Iron on Wrestling. So find him right now on Instagram at Of the Dead Designs, Facebook.com/Of the Dead Designs, or go to his website, ofthedead.weebly.com, because Of the Dead Designs, bringing artwork to life. Okay, over the years, there have been many people that we can argue should have been, could have been a WWE champion. But there's a small list, it's a smallish list of people that have only been WWE champion one singular time. And I have a comprehensive list of those individuals. But before I go through the list, which I could easily do, is there a one-time WWE champion that comes to mind for you when you think only one time as champion? And then also, why does that person come to mind?
I'd have to go with Ric Flair.
Okay, he was a two-time WWE champion.
Not Ric Flair. I meant Alberto Del Rio. Where's he at on your list?
Not a one-time WWE champion.
Is he 2-time? He was multiple time?
Yeah. Well, I think he won the world title more than the WWE title.
Oh, yeah.
But,
when there's two main championships, it confuses me.
What does it do to you?
Confused.
Okay.
How you say? So, well, I guess you're just going to have to give me a list because I don't know who one-time champion, two-time champion.
Okay. I'm going to give you a list. The list is as follows. Buddy Rogers. Ivan Koloff. Pedro Morales. Stan Stasiak.
Robert Backlund.
Superstar Billy Graham. That's not no. Bob Backlund was a 2-time WWE champion.
Wow.
You actual moron. The Iron Sheik. Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant? That was recognized?
It's recognized as a one-time championship reign.
Because he was given the belt?
Yes.
No.
It's recognized.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The Ultimate Warrior. Sergeant Slaughter. Diesel. Kane. Vince McMahon. Chris Jericho. Eddie Guerrero. John Bradshaw Layfield. Rob Van Dam. Jeff Hardy. Rey Mysterio. Dean Ambrose. Bray Wyatt. Jinder Mahal. Kofi Kingston. And the last person on record as a one-time champion would be Big E.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about Big E.
That is your list. Now, when I think of one-time WWE champions, the person that jumps right out at me right away in my brain, without thinking too much about it,
Vance Archer.
Yeah, I did not even name Vance Archer.
Oh.
I think Eddie Guerrero when I think one-time WWE champion. I don't know why he's the first one that pops in my mind. Perhaps maybe because I feel like, I don't know, that story in 2004 of him, like the redemption arc of him getting fired and coming back and fighting his way up to the top of the card when nobody expected it, and then winning the championship from Brock, and then really hoping that there was going to be like some substance in his reign. And it lasted, what, 3 months? 4 months? Yeah, from like February to June.
Could have lasted longer.
For sure.
But I was definitely surprised that he even won the title from Brock, of all people. First, I didn't think Eddie would win the title. Second, I didn't think he'd beat Brock for it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what it was, but around that time period, when I didn't usually order the pay-per-views that weren't to WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble, because this is when they were like, $40 a month at that point. Man, that promo that Eddie cut on Brock for that Go Home SmackDown,
Yeah.
like his addiction promo.
Yep.
It sold me. And I had a feeling, I was like, I feel like I have to watch this live because I think Eddie's going to win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it before, but there are just some moments that transcend wrestling in the way you feel when those moments happen, because that person really worked hard for that. And it just felt like an incredibly special moment that night in the Cow Palace, February 2004, when Eddie beats Brock Lesnar for the championship. An incredible match, one of Brock's final really, really good matches. I mean, that would be like his second to last before he left the company, and he wrestled Goldberg, and then he tries to go play for the Vikings. So it's like that era of Brock Lesnar. If you don't know Brock pre-2012, it's a very different Brock Lesnar before he ventures into the UFC and then comes back and becomes, Suplex City guy. Brock used to actually attempt to have in-depth wrestling matches, and so this is one of those last type of Brock Lesnar matches.
If you worked with Eddie, there was no way you weren't working.
Did you watch the Stone Cold Van Vliet interview?
Watched, I think, the first half of it. I still have the other half to go.
Austin, which I think might surprise a lot of people, on his Mount Rushmore.
Oh, yeah.
He immediately said Eddie Guerrero would be on his Mount Rushmore. And god damn it, dude, I hate that when Austin walked out in 2002,
Oh,
they were building an Eddie
Yep.
Stone Cold promo or program. I really wish they would have got to do that.
that's unfortunate, man.
I know.
Oh, man. Do you think that would have been okay? So we knew Austin had already had a broken neck at that point, though.
Yeah.
Do you think his matches with Eddie would have been on par with his matches with Bret Hart?
I don't know if it would have been that caliber because now it's a different Austin that wrestled Bret because
Right.
pre neck injury was that Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that we could have still had some classics because, and I told Austin this to his face. I think some of his best matches in the company was that heel run when, the heel run sucked, but he was wrestling Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. And it was almost like the Stone Cold of old. He was doing things that you wouldn't necessarily expect that Stone Cold to be doing or taking, especially when you know that he has a neck injury. Like I think at the time, before Suplex City was a thing years later, I think it was like a big deal when he worked that match with Benoit on SmackDown, and Benoit gave him like 9 or 10 German suplexes, right? Like nobody talks about that now, obviously because of the Benoit situation, but back then, holy shit, he gave him 10 German suplexes, especially knowing that he had a neck injury.
Right.
It was awesome, and I want to say that SmackDown match was, if not in Edmonton, it was definitely in like somewhere maybe in Calgary or something, but it was one of the bigger SmackDown matches for the time, headlined by Austin and Benoit.
Yeah, man. Guerrero Austin program would have been great. Eddie was the heel then, right?
Yes.
And so Austin was babyface just coming back, or what was his deal, or he had been there for?
He'd been back, but he took that leave of absence after the match with Scott Hall, and then they did the deal where he was a free agent.
Yeah.
To give him a reason not to be around for the week of the draft or whatever, and so and then they did those last couple months before he walked out were pretty brutal. I mean, it makes sense why Austin left. I mean, not to stay on it too long because this is supposed to be about WWE Champions, but essentially, if you recall, he feuds with Scott Hall, and then he is feuding with like the new version of the NWO with like fucking Big Show and X-Pac and Ric Flair, like Jesus
Shawn
Christ.
Michaels.
Yeah, well, the Shawn Michaels hadn't come back yet.
Yeah.
But Ric Flair was like the unofficial member of the NWO, like running things as general manager. It was really fucking weird. And even the Booker T thing, though, that was weird too because it was just like he randomly put him in the NWO during a lumberjack match. Like, you're going to wrestle a new member of the NWO. And then he just says, Booker T, get in there. Like, that was it. And Booker T is just like, okay with joining the NWO, even though he was never okay with that in WCW. We just don't care about that at all.
Different company, different time.
When you think of, let's talk about the Andre the Giant situation for a second, because obviously the situation goes down and, to this day, the most watched televised wrestling match of all time. And there are other matches that are at the tops in various other categories. Like I want to say that it's the Stone Cold Undertaker rematch. I think sometime in June of '99 after the King of the Ring. It's the most watched cable wrestling match of all time, where I believe Austin wins the WWF Championship back from the Undertaker. But as far as like the most watched wrestling match ever, it's Hulk, Andre, Saturday Night's Main Event. It's the big rematch from WrestleMania 3, which was one of the biggest wrestling pay-per-views of all time. And in a controversial finish, twin referee Earl Hebner counts a fall, even though Hulk Hogan's shoulder is clearly up, and Andre the Giant, for a second, wins the WWF Championship before he sells it to Ted DiBiase. Now, the Ted DiBiase reign does not stand, even though at house shows for the next few days, Ted DiBiase is on record defending the WWF Championship. But you don't think the Andre the Giant reign should count?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't think that the Undertaker. Wait, okay, so Undertaker and Hogan Remember when there was that controversy and Jack Tunney came out and he said that he was going to count that title reign even though he was stripping someone of the belt?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was always looking at it when I was a kid as wrestling being a real sport. I knew what it was, but
Yeah.
if you were going by real... So, like in college, when they strip you of a championship, then you're just not on record. There's just no champion that year. So it's like they Benoit him. They would Benoit him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because you didn't really win the championship.
Yeah.
You were stripped of it because of nefarious means. So, like, he didn't pin anybody to win that belt.
But Andre did pin Hogan.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But then,
the ref just made a shady decision.
Yep.
If anything,
okay, I'll go with it. Yeah.
If anything,
I'm all right with
could
it.
the argument be made that Ted DiBiase was WWF champion?
Right. Okay.
Like, I would say it's no, even though he did defend it, because you can't just give the belt to someone. Like, that's not how that works unless you're like an official with the company. Because when we talk about the flip side, towards the end of this, when we talk about the World Heavyweight Championship, most famously, the first title holder is Triple H because Eric Bischoff gives him the big gold belt. That's how it begins, and that starts the reign of terror. So, like, the one of the most notorious reigns in wrestling history as a heel champion starts with an awarded championship, which kind of fucking sucks. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking of somebody else that got awarded a championship, and now I can't think who I was thinking of when I was thinking of them.
If you were to pick the worst one-time title reign, who do you go to? And I'll give you some options.
Did you tell me Jinder Mahal?
Jinder Mahal is a one-time WWE champion.
Yeah, not a fan.
I mean, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because 1 week he's losing all the time on Raw. Yeah. Then all of a sudden they move him to SmackDown. They put him in a 4-way number 1 contenders match for the championship. He wins it. And now we're on a collision course for Backlash that year where it's going to be Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship. And the scuttlebutt is that around that time, according to the internet, that they really want to expand in India. And there's a chance that Jinder Mahal will become WWE champion. And sure enough, Jinder Mahal did in fact become WWE champion. And ironically, after holding it for a few months, he loses the championship to AJ Styles while in the UK, right before the tour of India, which, you know, go figure. I don't know if that's the worst title reign, though. I would give you some choices, and this is based on the short time span of which they occurred. I think in the runnings you have Kane as worst one-time WWE champion. I think you could also make an argument for, and this might be my pick, Vince McMahon. So Kane wins the championship in the King of the Ring First Blood match, which the idea was it's in his favor because, well, he wears a mask, so how are you going to bust him open? And then he made it even more challenging in the contest because it was the first time, and I believe the only time, that he wore the double sleeve outfit.
Right.
So that way there was no way to bloody this man. And then, of course, the finish goes down when The Undertaker comes to the ring with a chair and goes to hit Kane with it, but he blasts Stone Cold Steve Austin. The referee was knocked out. The referee comes to, he sees Austin covered in blood. Doesn't matter how it got there. He's covered in blood. And the
blood of a stone.
Yes, and the ref calls for the bell. So Austin, because of The Undertaker, loses the championship. However, it only lasts 24 hours. The next night, Monday Night Raw, Cleveland, Ohio, the rematch, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane, which, thank God Kane won the championship, because if he didn't, he did take his voice modulator and tell the world that he was going to set himself on fire.
Yeah.
That was, can you imagine that being the story, basically, like with any other wrestler now, where it's like, you know what, if I don't win this championship, I'm going to kill myself on live television.
Well, Darby Allin does that, and it's never for a championship.
Darby is...
Didn't he just set his brother on fire during his wedding or something?
I don't know what's going on with him. All I know is I just saw that, like, what was it? Of all the dumb stuff that he does, it was like low on the list of dumb stuff. where he took like that coast to coast.
Yeah.
And he was in the hospital for like a few days where he couldn't be in the Continental Classic or whatever. And like, I like Darby. He's a different cat, but like I did a lot of shows with him back in the day, and I would always have nice conversations with him. I don't want to see the guy get hurt, but like when you wrestle like that all the time, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to get kind of fucked up, right? So I don't know. But Kane loses the championship to Stone Cold in the main event in the Gund Arena. That could be argued that's the worst, but I mean, I think it's got to go to Vince McMahon, right? Like, I mean,
because he had no title defenses, correct? Or
0. So he ends up, they end up setting it up on one of the early editions of SmackDown, where it's going to be Triple H versus Vince McMahon, because they're in the midst of this thing that they're having. I think it's September of 1999, and they main event the show. Austin runs interference as a bloody Vince McMahon is getting his ass kicked by Triple H, and because of Austin's interference, Vince McMahon becomes the WWF champion, and the show ends with like him and like Linda and Stephanie and Shane, and he's covered in blood. And the next Monday, he vacates the championship, and then they put it on the line in a 6-pack challenge with Stone Cold Steve Austin as ref at Unforgiven 99. My thing is, why did we even need to do that title change? Like, why did we need to make Vince the champion for one day? Because again, when we look back at reasons to shit on various companies at that time period, one of the go-tos is always, well, WCW made Vince Russo the world champion. Yeah, but like you could argue that making Vince McMahon the champion in a pretty pointless move is also like pretty cringe.
Oh, it for sure is. I didn't like it when he was the ECW champion.
I mean, that was admittedly at least more entertaining than the WWF championship run.
I guess.
Do-rag Vince?
Yeah.
Come on.
Not into it.
What? Why?
Yeah. I just didn't think it was okay. I wasn't entertained by it. I don't know. I think you liked a lot of things that he said, but I don't stand behind that.
Oh, all right, man. Come on.
Hey, let me ask you this, though. We're going to pivot a little bit here.
Sure.
Different time period, different circumstances, but is Andre the Giant forfeiting the title to Ted DiBiase for payment on the same level or worse than Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Finger Poke of Doom? And here's why. Because at least somebody laid down and got covered for 3. In this other one guy just handed the belt to the other guy, and then it was presumed that $1 million transferred hands.
I think it at least works in the story. The idea is like this guy buys everything that he wants. So
Right.
I in no way sees that as bad as the Finger Poke of Doom. And as much as you want to debate the Finger Poke of Doom thing, look, revisionist history is an interesting thing. At the time, look, I watched the Finger Poke of Doom that night. I didn't change to Mankind and The Rock, okay? And I was excited when the NWO reformed. And what I saw that night, and I think the easy comparison would be when Triple H and Shawn Michaels made a mockery of the European Championship match on that like December 97 episode of Raw. That's how I viewed it as a kid. Like, oh, haha, they tricked everybody.
Yeah. See, I was okay with the DX thing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe I just was really, loving DX at the time.
But I just think, like, I don't know if people in the Georgia Dome shit on the Finger Poke as much as we do in retrospect, right? Because for a couple weeks there, I was excited about it. But then they did... I don't know if we've ever even talked about this. They were doing some weird shit in, like, the build up to Super Brawl. I remember I convinced my mom to order Super Brawl for me because her and my dad were separated. I wanted to watch Super Brawl because it was Hogan and Flair again. Do you remember they were doing like some weird shit where like the NWO wore all ski masks and they took Ric Flair out into a field and they were like beating the fuck out of him, and you were supposed to not think it's the NWO, but it's clearly the NWO Elite, as they were called at that point.
Yeah. The NWO what?
Elite. They were the NWO Elite. That's where the Elite comes from, because they had reformed the Wolfpack in the Hollywood. And yeah. But it was weird. Now that we're doing video, it would be great to go back and revisit some of that cringe, like slowly going downhill 1999 WCW, right?
Yeah. Do you think Andre could have just took the pin for DiBiase?
I just think that they should have.
But the story is stronger than the...
Yeah, I think so. And I really wish that they would have just allowed like corruption and the money to have awarded DiBiase a one-time title reign, and instead of doing that stupid fucking tournament, just have DiBiase and Macho build up to that at WrestleMania 4. Like, the tournament sucked. Like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I know you were excited. I remember the first time that I went back and found the home video that my grandma had at WrestleMania 4, and I watched it. I'm like, wow, a tournament, like the King of the Ring. Yeah. It's like, it looks exciting when you don't see tournaments all the time, but it sucks. It sucks. It was booked badly. It was just a shitty excuse to like do Hogan and Andre again. Like, you could have did that without the fucking tournament.
So let's rebook this real quick.
Okay.
I know this is off.
It's fine.
Okay. So DiBiase buys the championship from Andre.
Yep.
Jack Tunney hasn't made a decision yet. Until he makes a decision, DiBiase is allowed to defend the title.
Sure.
DiBiase defends the title against Hogan on, maybe there's a Saturday Night's Main Event, whatever, but he gets a title defense in.
Mm-hmm.
It ends with the interference of Virgil.
Okay.
Virgil interferes, disqualification. Hogan wants his rematch. He doesn't want to wait to WrestleMania, so he gets a second rematch. He goes against DiBiase. Virgil and Andre interfere in this one, which now sets up Andre and Hogan at WrestleMania. And Savage comes in for the save on Hogan, like Hogan had saved him the previous year from Honky Man and the Hart Foundation. So now you've got Savage in line for the title shot. And that's why Hogan interferes in the match, because Virgil and Andre had been interfering.
I don't mind that. I'm just my logic brain kicks in when you say that, though, because if you look back at the history of because I know there wasn't a Saturday Night's Main Event after the main event before WrestleMania 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know historically that Hulk Hogan, with the exception of, I think, 2 occasions, he never wrestled on Superstars.
Right.
He never wrestled on Wrestling Challenge. But I could see them doing something where they go, Hogan wants his rematch, and wow, he's going to wrestle on Superstars or Wrestling this weekend. But before he even goes to the ring, he's beat up by Virgil and Andre.
Yeah,
so that way we don't got to do it twice, right? We don't have to have Hogan try to challenge for the WWE Championship twice. It just never happens. So then it leaves the door to whether or not DiBiase is going to be the champion or not, which we know that he will not be. Hogan can eventually get another title shot, but also it could also set up, because we know in the future we're going to get the Mega Powers versus the Mega Bucks a couple times. That's going to happen.
Did you just say the Young Bucks?
No, Mega Bucks.
Oh.
And we know that, as you said, Hogan's going to interfere in the main event at WrestleMania 4 and help Macho. I think there's something to that. I just feel like the tournament complicated things, and I think if a lot of people had a do-over, they would get rid of that tournament. Especially when you consider we're trying to relive the glory of the previous WrestleMania. We redo Hogan and Andre, and it's kind of dog shit. But we don't try to redo Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man. And look, maybe it's for the best that we didn't do that, because to do their rematch and it'd be 5 minutes long, which a lot of these matches were, that wouldn't have done either of those guys justice. But let's move away from WrestleMania 4. That was an interesting...
I am Sid Justice, and Sid Justice rules the world.
Let's see. We're going to have to cover some of these pre-'80s champions.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said somebody like Pedro Morales.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that I never watched one title defense like Pedro Morales.
Nor did I.
I mean, now that we have access to it, with YouTube and that, maybe there's a match I could watch, but I didn't even know. I thought Pedro Morales was a jobber when I first started watching wrestling because by that point...
That's how they booked him.
Yeah, he was already mid-card.
Buddy Rogers, Ivan Koloff. I mean, like the biggest thing about Ivan Koloff was, I mean, he was the guy that beat Bruno, right? And people talk about, when you're a wrestling historian, for modern wrestling fans, you think about the hushed silence that went over the crowd when, as recently as a couple months ago, when John Cena loses to Gunther, or when The Undertaker loses to Brock at WrestleMania 30. That was the same thing that happened in Madison Square Garden, by all accounts, when Bruno, after being champion for 7 years or whatever it was at that time, loses to Ivan Koloff. And he doesn't keep the championship long. I believe it is Pedro Morales that he drops the championship to. So Ivan Koloff, I think, will live in infamy for being the guy who ended Bruno's first reign. Stan Stasiak.
Didn't he have a son that wrestled?
Sean Stasiak.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And Stan Stasiak was famous for the Heart Punch. So that's really all I know about Stan. I can't really tell you much about his reign, if I'm being honest with you. The only guy in the pre-'80s one-time title reigns that I could talk about is Billy Graham. I've seen enough Billy Graham matches in my time to know that had Billy Graham been... what was the name of his DVD? I think it was 20 years too soon. If you would have transplanted him into the mid-'80s around the same time as Hogan and, barring any health issues, I think Superstar Billy Graham could have fit in seamlessly. And also, because he was so charismatic back then, I would say that perhaps maybe if you made an argument for Eddie Guerrero having the most... underutilized or underwhelming title reign, I think you could say the same thing about Billy Graham, because by all accounts, Billy Graham was being cheered in a lot of the arenas in which they were running shows because of the personality.
Right.
And Vince Sr., it wasn't sports entertainment for Vince Sr. He had a plan, and the idea was, we're going to keep this on Billy Graham for about a year, and then he's going to drop it to Bob Backlund, and Bob Backlund's going to be my next Bruno. And he was not diverting from that plan. And it's just unfortunate because I think it did a disservice to the fans. I think there could have been I really feel like a Billy Graham face turn might have been bigger than Bob Backlund. I think Bob Backlund did fine, but I don't know. White meat babyface Bob Backlund, it worked for a little bit, but I think by the end, I think people were kind of sick of it.
Yeah, and they were ready for a change, but the heat was so bad with Iron Sheik because USA was legitimately in a deal with Iran.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and Iron Sheik is a one-time champion, and I think when you talk about perhaps maybe the most significant, the most important one-time WWE champion, the Iron Sheik might be the answer to that question. I mean, I'd have to look at the list here, but just now that
I got Iron Sheik, because it led to Hulkamania.
Yeah,
you couldn't have had Hogan beat Backlund.
No, that would have never happened. And also, Backlund wouldn't have let that happen, right? Because he only lost to Sheik because he was a real wrestler.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not going to lose the Hulk Hogan. Also, I can't even imagine.
He lost to a real wrestler in a scripted match where someone threw in the towel for him.
Yeah, he couldn't even be submitted. Yeah, right.
Or pass out or anything, And they had already talked about how he had been attacked prior to the match.
Yes, but Iron Sheik, helps usher in sports entertainment, and he was definitely made the right decision by not breaking Hogan's leg like supposedly Vern Gagne had. Sent out the memo to make that happen. And I think Iron Sheik did great for himself professionally when you consider that he was in that first wave of LJN figures that came out. And I think, when they talk about how much in royalties those guys were getting paid just for those figures back in the day, I think, Sheik's first quarter check was something like $79,000 or something. First quarter, not even the year, first quarter, because they came out with the Hogan figure, and I think the other babyface one they had was Andre, so they needed heels, and so they had Piper and they had Sheik, and I think Big John Studd was in that first wave. So it's like those guys.
Wasn't Savage? He wasn't in that first?
I don't think so. I think he might have been
got him in the second, because I remember I got Savage and I got Tito Santana.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think Sheik might have been the most important as far as being a one-time champion. One of the longest title reigns for a one-time champion would have been Diesel, 1995.
Yeah.
Especially in the 90s. He was the longest reigning champion of the 90s. And look, not the biggest drawing champion, but also you can argue he's also the champion during the time period in which the company was suffering the worst. And I do think some good came out of that reign. He had those 2 really good matches with Bret Hart. But outside of that, what really of note happened during the Diesel title reign, right? Like, I
don't even remember who he was defending the title against.
He had
Rikishi?
No, he had a notoriously bad match against British Bulldog towards the end of his reign. Like
Mabley?
One of the In Your Houses. He had like two In Your House matches with Sid on top. The first
Mabel,
In Your House,
British
Mabel,
Bulldog,
like
Bam Bam Bigelow, maybe.
He teamed with Bam Bam
That's
against
right.
Tatanka,
Yeah,
and fucking Sid at the King of the Ring, one of the worst pay-per-views in company history. Did
he defend against Scott Hall? Razor?
No,
they battled over the Intercontinental title.
that was the year prior.
Yeah,
because Razor was with Jeff Jarrett doing that little run. And he had probably, you could argue, the closest thing that he got with him and Brett would have been him and Shawn at WrestleMania 11.
Yeah.
And even that, like, there was like a weird power bomb that Diesel swears to this day that Shawn purposely sandbagged him on and stuff, and didn't make it look as good as he could have for the finish. And maybe there's a little bit.
I like that match though.
It wasn't a bad match. It definitely should have headlined over Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam for sure, even though that match was better than it had any right to be.
Yeah.
But how disappointing was the Ultimate Warrior's title reign? Like, go back in time, because again, you're a little bit older than me. Hogan drops the belt to Warrior. We all know that, by the time the Gulf War is starting in 91, that Warrior is not going to hold on to that championship, because they're going to transition back to Hogan, because the Ultimate Warrior experience already by the end of 1990 had sort of run its course on top. Talk to me about your feeling watching that reign in real time.
I loved that Warrior was the champion because it was so unexpected. To me, it was. Also, I don't remember the Warrior. Like, I remember them going back to Rick Rude, which I guess logically makes sense since Rude had beat him for a title and nobody had beat Warrior.
And they had great promos leading up to that, where like,
and Rude cut his hair, got real serious.
He did all like the Rocky style promos.
But
for
I just
it.
never bought Rude as a legit contender for that championship.
Why?
Because I had just watched Warrior beat him, I think.
Sure, the year prior.
Yeah. And so
But he made a good argument in those promos. It's like I can beat the Warrior because I'm the only guy who has beaten the Warrior.
Right. No, it all made sense. But I had just watched those matches the year before. I didn't want to see another series of Warrior Rude matches. Let me see. Who else did Warrior defend that title against?
DiBiase, I think, right after
Andre, or was he feuding with Andre for the Intercontinental?
I believe that was the Intercontinental.
That would have been weird if Andre would have held the Intercontinental.
I do feel like that his first defense was against DiBiase in that Saturday Night's Main Event after the Hogan thing.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you anybody else of significance during that
Mr.
reign.
Perfect? Or was that?
I don't think so, because Perfect was the Intercontinental champion.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I know he was doing a lot of teaming with Legion of Doom against Demolition, because that's when they had the 6-man.
Yeah, because Survivor Series, they had Demolition and Mr. Perfect were the perfect team.
Yeah, and then like they did all of the Warriors together on the Survivor Series team.
Yeah.
So not a lot of memorable things happening during that title run. And then, of course, Warrior losing at the Royal Rumble in 1991 would go to another one-time WWF champion, that being Sergeant Slaughter, which was only used as a stepping stone to get the title back to Hogan. And, again, 91 is a very important year to me because it's like the first year that I remember. And I do think that they were trying a lot of things that were a bit more mature, adult-oriented in retrospect.
Okay.
I think specifically this Gulf War thing, which in hindsight was probably a horrible business decision and did them more harm than good. But I wanted to ask you who you thought would be the most deserving out of all these one-time champions as a two-time champion. And I don't think Slaughter would be the most deserving, but it's interesting that they never tried to give him a title run before he left in the 80s when he was a babyface. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting because like you feel like some of their top guys before Hogan would have been like outside of Backlund would have been Slaughter, would have been Snuka.
When they always say that Vince was going to get somebody, and we heard, I think Bruce maybe said Vince like Dusty.
Yeah.
So Dusty could have been the Hogan. I told you I had heard Rick Steamboat, that Vince wanted to make it Rick Steamboat until he realized he could have Hogan.
Yeah. What about most?
Oh, so Slaughter. I think Slaughter could have been that Hogan.
Yeah. So let's talk about then the most deserving of a second reign. Of all these guys that have been the one-time champion, is there someone that stands out to you that you thought, like, man, I would have liked to see them get a second go?
I don't know if I wanted to see him, but I could have possibly saw Kane having another title reign.
Yeah, it's shocking that they didn't do that. I mean, he did have a couple world title reigns.
He was ECW champion, wasn't he?
He was an ECW champion. Better or worse than Vince?
Oh, way better.
Okay.
He had a lot of good matches against Chavo.
I do think that it's important to point out that as bad as Kane's short reign was and Vince McMahon, equally as bad and borderline stupid, Rey Mysterio. The fact that Rey only got to hold the belt for like 90 minutes until he accepted the challenge of babyface John Cena.
Yeah.
After CM Punk had left with the WWE Championship. Pretty fucking dumb. And I think Rey could be argued to be deserving of a second title run. I think it's interesting to think that Chris Jericho technically only had the WWE Championship once. It technically counts as a reign when he merged the WWE Championship and the World Championship at that Vengeance 2001 pay-per-view to become the Undisputed Championship. That would be his only WWE Championship run, which I find very interesting. So it could have been something to see Chris Jericho get a WWE title run, particularly during like that. Or no, I'm sorry. They were feuding for the Universal Championship, but it would have been interesting if, you know, the WWE Championship could have been on the line for Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. There was potential where I could have seen, and obviously they ended up doing the 434-day reign with CM Punk. I could have seen the title switch hands and Jericho winning that championship for a cup of coffee and then maybe dropping it back to Punk during that feud in 2012. I think there could have been potential for that.
When people didn't like Punk at all in 2012, you know, like Kevin Nash talks about, Triple H, whatever.
You mean behind the scenes?
Yeah. How the hell did he end up with a over year-long reign?
I mean,
was he that over that they were like, look, this guy's a dick, but we cannot take this belt off of him?
Well, it's interesting to think about because on the front end, where it would have made more sense to like not have Punk lose, they really fucked up that summer of Punk. He wins the championship. He has more momentum than any champion in a long time. The pipe bomb, I think, brought back a lot of fans and brought in fans for the first time because like, hey, I want to watch it, want to see what's going on with the show. He comes back 1 week later after leaving with the belt. He beats Cena, but then he loses the championship immediately to Alberto Del Rio.
Ugh.
He has to feud with Nash, but then that never happens. He jobs the Triple H, for no reason, never gets the win back, and then randomly wins the championship back at Survivor Series in 2011, which, by the way, not the main event. That's main evented by The Rock and John Cena. Punk never main events as WWE champion. Not one pay-per-view for the next year that he's champion, with the exception of the match where he loses the championship to The Rock. Like said that the Royal
What about
Rumble.
when didn't we talked about this not long ago? But didn't Punk lose a championship one time and he didn't defend it? Like he got attacked in the locker room. And...
That was the World Championship.
Okay.
Yeah, so he cashed in Money in the Bank and he beat Edge, and then he in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Once again, he was supposed to be in that what did they call it? It wasn't a scramble match, but it was
6-pack challenge.
It wasn't a 6-pack challenge, but it was the same type of deal where, like, if you got the pin during the match, you would be the interim.
Oh
WWE
yeah.
champion.
It was never mind. I can't think of what it's called.
Yeah,
right
whatever
now.
it was called, but like you had to keep the belt at the end to be the champion. They never did it since that pay-per-view, but they jumped Punk, and then he was not allowed to defend the championship. Then Jericho took the place and won the WWE Championship. So,
Or was that the World Heavyweight Championship?
World Championship. My bad.
Yeah.
Most shocking WWE Championship reign, I think, has to go to John Bradshaw Layfield.
Oh, okay.
A couple months earlier, I don't think you see that coming because he's Bradshaw in the APA.
True.
And then one night he walks out with a fucking 10-gallon cowboy hat on, and he's JBL, and he's giving financial advice, and now all of a sudden he's in the main event. He was just on WrestleMania 20.
Yeah.
With Farouk. Who the fuck is guessing that the first challenger for Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship after WrestleMania is going to be Bradshaw?
And then it was really good, you know?
It was really good.
His reign was really good.
I don't know about that.
You don't think the reign was good?
There was interesting stuff in there, but I don't know if people look back at that and go, "Wow, yeah, that was great stuff." I mean, he did the thing with Eddie, then he did a thing with Taker, and then I think he did like a 4-way thing with like Eddie, Taker, Booker T, because he did like a singles match with Booker T at Survivor Series that year. And then, by the end, he was like, oh my God, dude, do you remember when they fucking started hyping that first ever barbed wire steel cage match between him and the Big Show?
Yep.
And it in no way came into play in the match. They were talking about how they're going to get cut up and bleed, and like they didn't even touch the razor wire. What a waste of time. The finish of the match ends up being a creative finish, but like, why even do the barbed wire thing? They end up choke slamming Bradshaw through the ring, and obviously escape the cage is an option. And so Bradshaw ends up crawling out from under the ring. So technically he touched the floor first, so he wins the match and he escaped the cage. But yeah, I think for me, that's the most surprising reign. Reign that got cut too short. For me, I think that goes to Rob Van Dam. And of course, that's his own demise, but like, man, that was like peak Rob. He won that Money in the Bank in 2006. One of the few guys to actually call a shot and say, hey, I'm cashing this in at One Night Stand.
I think he was the first guy.
He was the first guy.
Right?
One of the only guys to actually go, hey, I'm going to cash in the title shot at this place.
Yeah.
And obviously, after he beats John Cena in a WWE Championship match where the atmosphere has never been replicated, it like literally felt dangerous for John Cena to be in that building that night. I don't know, man. It just sucks that he gets hit with a drug charge after the fact, and
then Sabu says, "Hey, Rob let me take the hit for that," but Rob still got punished.
Yeah.
But Sabu said, "No, everything was mine," because he was like, Rob was getting ready to get a push.
Sure.
And I was just kind of along for the ride, so I was like, I'll take the hit for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets one title defense on pay-per-view against Edge. That would have been Vengeance 2006. And then I believe it was July 3rd, he ends up having to drop the WWE Championship in a 3-way to Edge and John Cena. He loses it to Edge, and then the next night they had him defend the ECW Championship against Big Show in a, I don't know if you remember the finish to this, but they have Paul Heyman aligned with Big Show, and this is in the, I want to say it was in the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah.
Because they started littering the ring with shit.
Yep.
They were really pissed off about it because it was a horrible fucking finish that Rob Van Dam lost to the Big Show for the ECW Championship.
Mm-hmm. That was everything that ECW was against, you know?
Yeah. Well, it just seemed like a lot of times that they brought ECW back just to fucking make people mad and ruin and tarnish the legacy in some way, right? Bray Wyatt, I think, was it was pretty cool to see him get that one run as WWE champion, even though it didn't last very long. I think the match.
He lost it to Goldberg too, right?
That was the Universal Championship.
Oh.
The WWE Championship, I do believe, without looking it up.
Titles.
I do believe the WWE Championship he ended up losing to Randy Orton. That was the WrestleMania where the sperm cells followed Randy Orton to the ring. But him winning the chamber was in one of the rare good chambers in the last 10 years. I think he ended up pinning AJ Styles in the finish to that match. John Cena was involved in that chamber as well. It was a very good chamber match, and I remember the crowd was really into Bray winning that championship. And obviously, you know, he does not get another run with that title. He does win the Universal Championship a couple times after the fact, and now obviously Bray is no longer with us. But it's nice that his character, that persona, particularly that earlier Bray Wyatt persona, is connected to that WWE title lineage. And I do think that I would like to say that's unfortunate that his character didn't get a second time with that championship, but the way they booked his character over the years, I think it would have just been disappointing, much like that first run, right? Like it lasted like a month.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Bray Wyatt's brother can have a better title reign?
I know.
No?
No. They really haven't
I know
done
you
anything.
like how he wears that mask.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. No, I skipped over the MFT Wyatt 6 match on SmackDown.
So
this
did
week.
I.
Yeah. It's not doing it for me. It's like lowered the value of Solo.
I thought, I'm going to give this a chance because I think this will give Solo a chance to really flourish. Like, he'll be able to get over clowning on these guys or something. And it just hasn't happened. Like, he'll maybe mock them, like, after he Irish whips somebody, but then that's it.
Most inspirational WWE Championship win. I'm going Kofi, but it was also really cool when Big E won the championship too. And obviously the Big E thing comes in a cash-in against, I believe it was Bobby Lashley. And I felt like they did it for ratings. There was a reason why they almost promoted it like it was going to be a cash-in to where you had to tune in on Raw, and Big E won. And I think there was a lot of potential in the Big E reign. But obviously, when we talk about inspirational title reigns, that Kofi Kingston run came out of nowhere. It was very reminiscent of the Daniel Bryan story 5 years earlier. Yeah. Originally, of course, it was supposed to be Mustafa Ali that was going to get that shot, but he got injured. And so Kofi becomes the replacement in Chamber. And man, the crowd was just so into Kofi that night to where it's like they had to start running with the Kofi thing.
And then it resonated. Like the next week they were still into it. It wasn't just that town or that match or that arena, whatever. It was everybody was loving Kofi. They said Kofi Mania was running wild, and it really was.
And it's just interesting how it worked out that 5 years prior, Daniel Bryan was that underdog, and now Daniel Bryan has changed his character. He's the what was he calling himself? The something champion?
The
Planet's champion. He had the special hemp championship, and now
I don't know how you could just go through having a hemp championship and not setting on fire.
Okay. At the time, he had the thing with Eric Rowan, which it was like a nice way to. I think better than him being in the Wyatt family. I think that might have been the best utilization of Eric Rowan until, of course, they went down the weird path of like. Did they do something weird where like.
Eric Rowan had a pet spider.
Oh my God!
It was a robot.
That was unrelated to the Brian thing, but they did some weird story where like Eric Rowan like attacked someone, or like supposedly attacked Brian or something. They did some weird story after the fact where they had nothing to do with the Kofi thing anymore to break up Eric and Brian. I can't remember how it played out, but it was.
Don't remember that at all.
It was dumb, but the Kofi thing was very organic. It was nice that Brian could be the guy in that situation on the other side of it, since he had just experienced the babyface thing 5 years earlier. And again, it's one of those moments that transcends wrestling. You know, he gets to be in the ring with his son after he wins the championship at WrestleMania 35. The only thing that could have made that more memorable is if the show wasn't like 6.5 hours long. Because it was hard.
I thought you were going to say the only thing that made that better is if, like, Kofi wore the championship belt around his chest, so I didn't have to look at that disgusting divot.
Wow.
What?
Being very mean about Kofi Kingston's chest right now. It seems unnecessary.
Well, I challenge him to a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like Jeff Hardy's one-time title run? Do you remember it? Or was that, is that a blur to you?
He was a WWE champion?
He was. He beat Triple H.
Jeff Jarrett?
Jeff Hardy.
Oh, I swear you just said Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Hardy.
I'm pretty sure you said Jeff
Did
Jarrett.
I say Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah.
I might have said Jeff
Jarrett.
Okay,
Jeff Hardy. No, I never bought him as a champion. I didn't think it was credible.
Wow.
So
I didn't have a problem with Jeff Hardy as champion.
Jeff Hardy, I don't know, man. There's something about him, I think, like, you know, maybe he does too much Ambien. I see them bags on your eyes. See, this would be good for video podcast.
Yeah, it would be. Oh, my God. Yeah, you know, I do feel like when I associate Jeff Hardy with a world title, I think of the World Heavyweight Championship because he had a couple runs with that. And more memorable feud with CM Punk during that time frame. But the Jeff thing was cool, man. He beat Triple H at that Armageddon pay-per-view that year. And I think it was in a 3-way with Edge, I believe. And he ended up getting the pin on Triple H, which I don't think people would have called. And, you know, they didn't do much with it after the fact. They did the Randy Orton feud that led up to that match at the Rumble, and then we make the pivot into the loss and his house being burnt down for real, and they turn it into a storyline, and it ends up being Matt Hardy ended up doing it, and so they do Matt and Jeff at the WrestleMania that year, and the match was fine, but I don't think the run itself lived to potential. Great moment though when we got there. But overall, I guess one more guy that we didn't cover in this scenario here is Dean Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I think of the Dean Ambrose title run, the first thing that comes to mind to me is the most awkward podcast interview of all time on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast that they aired on the WWE Network at the time. Boy, was that strange. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't?
No. Refresh my memory.
They used to use
Dean Ambrose. You know what? For whatever reason, I barely remember Dean Ambrose as a champion. Who did he beat?
I think he beat AJ.
Wow.
Or maybe he lost the title to AJ. Whatever the case is, he was a champion. I believe this was 2016, and they used to do the Stone Cold Broken Skull session thing live after like Raw. Dean Ambrose is the guest, and apparently what we find out after the fact, there's like a bunch of stuff that Dean did not want to talk about, and so Austin is asking him questions that I don't feel like were out of the ordinary for a Steve Austin podcast, and Moxley was just real weird about answering them. And the whole interview is awkward as fuck. And Austin is kind of like challenging Dean Ambrose to step up and like, to just be a more credible champion and to really push the envelope a little bit. And Ambrose is just kind of very nonchalant and just kind of like whatever. And that's what I think about when I think of the title reign of Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I barely remember anything about it. It's very surprising to me because Dean Ambrose looked like shit then. He looks much better now. He looks like a real wrestler now. Back then, he looked like shit.
Well,
hair looked stupid. His promos weren't that good. Remember that time he came out with an oxygen mask? I'm not saying that was the same time, but
yeah, well, that was a Vince McMahon idea, clearly.
Man.
I haven't listened to it, but Mox's audio book or his actual book, if you like reading, I've heard good things about it, but I haven't checked it out myself. So I think he digs deeper into those situations a little more over there. Overall, 23 one-time WWE champions in the history of the company. Who would you say is your favorite as far as one-time champion?
Diesel.
Diesel?
Yeah.
You're going Diesel.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we talked about he had like no credible opponents.
I know, but like he deserved it. I believe that it wasn't a mistake to put the belt on him.
I never said it was a mistake.
Yeah, no. So that's what I'm saying. Like I thought that there was going to be huge potential there. And I think he was a good placeholder for a while. I think he represented what WWE, WWF was. So I'm okay with him being the champion. And, he and I became really, really good friends at Resolution.
Yeah. When's the last time you talked to him?
Resolution.
Okay. Wanted to make that clear. Yeah, overall, again, I said the first person I think about when I think about one-time WWE champions, and even though it wasn't a long reign, I think my favorite one-time champion has got to be Eddie Guerrero. If I had an honorable mention based on, it wouldn't even be based on like, oh, he had great title defenses, because as we just talked about, I could only name one opponent that he really had during that time frame. The Ultimate Warrior title reign is like the first title reign that I sort of start to remember before that year of 91 that really sticks out to me. So it's like, I remember him being the champion. I remember the intro for Superstars with like the electrocution and like him having the belt on. And like, at that time when I'm watching, the Saturday Night's Main Event logo is like Warrior with that pose with the arms up in the air with the belt around his waist. And he always had the different color championships. So like as a kid, that would have been my favorite one-time WWE Championship reign. As an adult or going into adulthood, I would say Eddie Guerrero. And I think honorable mention as like a 30-ish, almost 40-year-old man, I really appreciated the title run of Big E at the end there, and it's unfortunate that he...
Again, another champion. I barely remember having that championship. Who did you say he beat Bobby Lashley?
I believe he beat Bobby Lashley, yes.
Did he beat Bobby Lashley or one of Bobby Lashley's sisters?
No, I don't think he beat the sister.
Okay.
But yeah, I think this was great coverage. I think in the bonus, as we answer some questions from social media and talk about SmackDown from this past Friday, I do think we will cover one-time World Heavyweight Championships from 2002 to 2013. But this has been a very insightful and interesting discussion. What do you think are the best and the worst WWE champions one time in various categories? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know over on patreon.com/Iron Wrestling, where you get a buttload of bonus content. $3 for the audio going back to 2019. $5 for the video. $9 to get involved in the live chats we just did this past week. So we should have another one coming in the coming weeks over in the month of February. Also, something to keep in mind, packages will be going out in March for $25 and up Patreon subscribers. We do enjoy sending you out some nice swag from Animal Steel's Pink Cadillac. And subscribe to the YouTube. We're growing that over there. subscribe wherever you download your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff, so you get alerted as soon as the podcast drops. And there was something else I wanted to plug. I don't remember what I'm trying to plug here. I don't know. It'll come back to me. But I'm very excited about the transition to video, so stick around for that. We will have a bonus video specifically for Patreon. And in 2 weeks' time, the video format will officially begin over on the YouTube. So you're definitely going to want to subscribe just for that in itself. And
subscribe to the YouTube?
Yes.
And it's Iron on Wrestling?
Iron on Wrestling.
I'll have to subscribe.
You're not subscribed?
No, I haven't cared for it.
You fucking kidding me right now?
But I will now, and I will like whatever video's up, and I will subscribe, and I will make a comment, because if you make a comment, not only does it help the channel grow, but it helps us personally in life.
Grow in my
feel
underloins.
Like we've been accepted by our peers.
All right. Well,
love all you fucks out there.
Hey, this Saturday, I will be making a special appearance for a professional wrestling seminar.
Except for you, Josh Newman. You son of a...
Okay, leave him alone. I'll be in the Port Huron area in Michigan doing a seminar before the Chaos Wrestling Show. New Beginnings 2. I will not be wrestling on the show, but I will be doing the seminar. Saturday, January 17th, $20. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. It's a conversation-based seminar with in-ring instruction if necessary, built around my real experience within the professional wrestling business. I share stories and lessons from nearly my 20 years in the business, and I leave the floor open to focus on what you want to learn. Topics often include promo structure and finding your voice, match psychology, timing, positioning, character development, and where to draw inspiration from, social media and branding as a wrestler, getting booked the right way as opposed to the wrong way, knowing your value, investing in yourself long-term, amongst many other things. Payments are accepted via Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or of course standard cash at Gregory Iron. I also have a t-shirt pre-order as you're listening to this on Wednesday. Pre-orders technically closed, but if you're listening to the podcast and you still want to get one in, message me privately. I have both shirt designs posted up on social media. I will try to get you a shirt in your size. Just message me directly and we'll work something out. And of course, you can find me on social media at Gregory Iron on Twitter, at Gregory_Iron on Instagram, Facebook.com/The Handicapped Hero. You can book me for pro wrestling, motivational speaking, and pro wrestling shows over at my website, handicappedhero.com, where you can also find my Cameo if you would like a shout out of some sort. Did a couple this last week, which I appreciate. I enjoyed doing them. And prowrestlingtees.com/Gregory Iron for my shirts, Aaron shirts, Iron on Wrestling shirts. Aaron, what would you like to plug?
I'd like to plug the Jeff Hardy drugged up rant on CM Punk.
Okay.
That's what it's entitled anyways. Look up on YouTube there.
You know, Jeff's in a better place now.
Well, I know, but it's still funny. You pop every time I do that.
I know I don't.
Yes, you do.
That's not true.
And especially when I do the wrist motion.
All right. Anything else you want to plug?
Like that. No, I'm good.
Okay. Well,
all right,
hey,
we'll see you guys over on the YouTube.
Yep. Till next week. Here's a kiss. Goodbye.
No,
the show's over. Just kiss goodbye. Kiss goodbye.
It's time for Tiger Driver Trivia.
And
the first question is...
Nope. The show's over. Show's over.
When does the show end?
Right now. Kiss goodbye.